Hey guys, what's up? Pixel Art Builder 583 here again for yet another edition of the PAB Magazine. And of course, this is going to be the final edition for this year of 2021. I know, time flies by so fast, but sometimes it can feel like eternity just waiting for an entire year to end from start to finish. But don't let it fool you, because in 2022, I'm still going to be updating on a good basis as usual. Some great stuff was implemented this year, but of course, there are some things that didn't quite go to plan. I'm genuinely sorry about that. But anyways, let's get what we're about to cover out of the way, shall we? First of all, we're going to be talking about how we're doing in the Christmas special. To be frank, we are doing somewhat okay with how we're taking things in the direction we're intending to go for. I came up with a few major ideas and whatnot, and I decided to add in some changes, especially in terms of the formula I'd usually use for a typical Christmas special. However, I decided to remove one of the games I would have otherwise incorporated into the special, because for starters, the other game I was intending to incorporate was pretty painstaking at the first try, and secondly, if I felt like as a result it would make the time length for it longer than I'd want it to. So I had to replace it with something different that would be somewhat like the original formula, but with a slight change. Because I felt like it wouldn't be the same without such a formula like that. But of course, progress-wise, I completed one of the segments for the special already. For the other two segments I'm intending for this special, for two other segments I'm intending for this special, it's going to be similar to the stuff we were originally going to do, but simpler with less characters and less presents to open. But because of time constraints and all, it's going to take some time before some people do their voice lines and sprites and so forth. But either way, no matter how late, early, or on time we make it, I'm willing to put my manpower into the production of that thing. No exceptions there, no sir. Also, if for some reason all goes well, and that's a mighty big if, there is something else that I might do, which could take up less time to do than the real thing. It might serve as a supplement to it as well. To those who don't know what I mean there, I mean that I might also make a Christmas Eve special, which could be another Microsoft Sam reads funny signs and errors episode. However, I cannot guarantee that will happen since I have things in the real special under my belt, and that could siphon a whole bunch of time as we speak. But anyways, we'll see if time permits before I make a community post about it. Anyways, let's go over to Sam for the next bunch of stuff he wants to talk about next.
Thank you for the delegation, Pixel Art. So, here we are with the flagship series I would like to name, Microsoft Sam Plays Minecraft. There's stuff that's going to be important about that, so be sure to pay attention. As you can see from what Pixel Art and the rest of us have been going through lately, especially in terms of seasonal planning, we have a good thing that came up. That's right. The Raffle World in the server-made version is completed for the most part. After some small stuff and big stuff got completed, Pixel Art gave one of his good friends the go-ahead to export a copy of the entire world itself, and then the friend gave it to him. And from what we assessed, the world is good. We did a few more things along with it, but then at the same time, we discovered a few flaws that allow for two things. 1. Pixel Art's computer lagging whenever he runs Optifine, which has shaders on, and 2. In one of the major areas, certain mobs spawning at places they are not supposed to spawn. As a result of them, Pixel Art's been thinking about getting a new computer, which is one that can handle some of the stuff that the shaders would make the current one go through. He is also intending on redesigning one of the major areas in a moderate way that would not affect the external perimeter of it. Those who tag along with us behind the scenes would know most about it, but what we can give are hints at this point. But that's not all. While we mostly got the Season 8 episodic itinerary figured out, we're still not done with Season 7 yet. When 2022 comes around, one of our primary objectives will be that we will get the finale of it squared away. Well, we have a more scheduled plan like this, as suggested by someone by the name of Samurai 2020. First, we get episode 17 finished in full power, but we will keep that unlisted, so that way staff only can watch the episode. Secondly, while the episode is unlisted, we are going to remake episodes 12 and 13 individually. The reason we're saying that is because of what we said before in one of the other editions of this update series. The original episodes were too weird and terrible for anyone's own taste, and that made them turn away from the episodes overall. Once we get the remakes of them done, we will either enlist the originals, put them on private, or delete them entirely. That will depend on where things go from here. Oh. And then thirdly, after the remakes, we will release episode 17, and then finally go on full throttle mode to episode 18. But for all of this to work, we are expecting those involved in the Microsoft Sam Plays Minecraft staff to be on deck for the duties they are to take on board. Though we are not expecting everyone to be available all the time, because I can't blame anyone for when they got certain real-life issues to take care of first. Everyone just needs to be consistent to update us for what progress for certain assets is, as well as what issues they come across themselves. We just hope the future is kinder to us in terms of what it has to offer. While we're at the topic of production, we are going to talk about Microsoft Sam Plays Killing Floor 2. Most of you might be wondering why there are no new episodes after the ones we released last month. Well, to make a long story short, we decided against the original idea, now that we thought through with what some timetables are like. We were thinking 8 episodes of Season 5 before the Chat Till You Drop update and 8 more afterwards, but as time was creeping by, since pixel art was growing more passionate to finish the Christmas special rather than this, we decided to move the 4 episodes after the first 4 episodes into the section of episodes that would come after the update. I know, we didn't want to make an update like this, but knowing that you can't rush art, stuff must be knowledge. But don't worry, we're still not shying away from Season 5 production just yet. After the Chat Till You Drop update ends, we'll try and go full throttle with the season, before we end up reaching the Season 5 finale, which would be at episode 16 by the time it's produced. But of course that'll only serve as a secondary objective, because the primary one is still going to be the Microsoft Sam Plays Minecraft stuff that is way past overdue. Next up, we are going to be talking about the poll that has passed for which Microsoft Sam and Friends Play series should go first in production by the time 2022 comes up. It has come to our attention that Microsoft Sam and Friends Plays on the Army trilogy has won the poll. From this day forth, we are going to be producing that first rather than Microsoft Sam and Friends Play Back 4 Blood. Speaking of Microsoft Sam and Friends Play Back 4 Blood, the December 20th 21 update, according to several gamers, got some of the game almost everything they wanted thus far, and to that I say, I think this looks intriguing and promising. In the update prior to it, that made the game worse. I'll be frank, I was getting close to wanting us to eliminate that game from the series list, because the criticism prior to the seemingly positive update was so destructive that our hopes for the game getting patched up were getting dashed. Thankfully, we're now taking a breath of fresh air just examining the features that the December update was given by Turtle Rock and Warner Brothers Games. Still, since On the Army Trilogy won, we're still producing that series first, sorry be for me. Anyways, we're now going to turn over to Mike, before I overthink some shit.
Thank you Sam, and yes, go take a breather for a quick moment. Anyways, I am here to cover my piece of this episode, which is that I have another idea for a potential series starring me. This one is going to be called Microsoft Mike Plays Terraria. In case you don't know where we got that from, well, one of Pixel Art's good friends by the name of Link Edward MMOs was doing a series where Sam would play that game back in 2020, so in response to that, Pixel Art was thinking to do the same for me. Though we are not exactly copycatting each other in terms of series, we do get inspired by each other, since of course Pix considers Edward a brother, as well as a longtime friend Pixel Art has known for a lot of years. But yes, this is going to be a possible series that Pix might produce, given that he learns the basics in a steady amount of time, since after all, Terraria is like Minecraft but in 2D visuals. Speaking of which, there's also going to be a few ideas. One of the ideas in which, how we can get Pixel Art's channel in good quantity control is going to be through a poll, where everyone can vote for which series they want produced the most. It's going to be somewhat like the Microsoft Sam and Friends Play poll last time, except there are going to be 3 series instead of 2. That, and there's going to be an extra mechanism that would be like the Minecraft buy and vote from 2019 in a sense. What I mean by that is that the series that gets voted for the most gets to undergo production first, the second most voted series gets to undergo production sometime after that, and the least voted series gets eliminated entirely. Yes, it's going to be like that. So, by the time we launch the poll at the community posts, I want you to vote wisely. Also, don't rig the votes. The reason we are addressing that is because there have been times where people have done so in the past few years in the past few events that we watched, and that just adds in toxic positivity towards a certain something, as well as bias. So, whatever you do, don't fucking rig anything for some dumb reason. The vote will end on New Year's Day. Anyways, we are now going to shift over to Mary for her topic.
Thank you, Mike. Ahem. So, we are still having hiatus problems with Microsoft Mary Plays Shantae and the Seven Sirens. While it is true, there is some good news regarding the game. It has received a new update, where it allows the player to play between 5 different modes, according to a WayForward posted on their Twitter page. That one update is called the Spectacular Superstar Update. I've dinked around with it before, and as people can't see, it's pretty good as far as I know. Though the update has a lot of its charms, that is, just as easily going to leave a mark on where the series will go from there. Which is why, like what we have been doing before, we are going to leave a poll for letting the fans decide what they think for what we should do with the series. I have been thinking about 2 options, which would be that 1, we can keep the series going to its original form in Legacy mode, or 2, we can reboot the series on Definitive mode. I am going to warn you, though, that if you vote for the Definitive mode, you can expect tougher bosses and enemies, as well as rebalanced difficulty scale, director's cut content, which is nice with loads of more dialogue, and so forth. But, if you vote for the Legacy version option, you can expect some of the director's cut dialogue to go out the window. So I would advise to choose wisely for this one. Just like with Mike's poll, this one's going to end on New Year's Day. Stay tuned as well for more content that will apply to this series nonetheless. But without any further ado, I'd like to give the spotlight to Scotty for his piece of content.
Thank you, Mary. So, let us get started with this topic, shall we? Well, just like her fucking sinful abomination of a series, Radar over here Scotty's Retrocraft is sadly one that is still on hiatus as well. But there is one reason the as to why it is. Most of you remember the security exploit that Minecraft Java Edition had? According to the news itself, it had the file known as log4j, which allowed for randos to type in some malicious code within a victim's computer in multiplayer servers. It also affected versions prior to 1.12 that were swarmed with that flaw. Fortunately, though, 1.18.1 fixed that security flaw and the launcher was updated with some of the patches. But the big question is, even with a fix, are older versions before 1.12 still affected? To answer that, one friend of Pixel Arts said that we should be fine as long as the launcher is up to date with all the code that needed some addressing. But there is one thing that this news is going to affect the priority of this series, as well as the ability to produce it without any technical problems in terms of safety. Yeah, I know, ouch. So, that would mean that until further notice, we're still going to keep this series on hiatus because of a possibility that any further security flaws might breach beta versions, as well as some official releases. That also brings me to say that I might do some kind of replacement series if for some reason things go south in terms of this series being produced. The question is that really going to happen? The answer is, we don't know yet, because as safe as Minecraft is right about now, there are still risks and vulnerabilities out there that can affect an end user. But at the same time, though, Pixel Art's channel is still getting loaded with video series that shouldn't be on priority unless it's truly a good time for them to be. That's one reason why we're pretty indecisive about what we should do in the future in terms of content starring me. Anyways, we're going to turn over to Substance over Dear Water for her piece of the content to cover.
Thank you, Scotty. Now then, here's what I would like to cover for my segment. The potential New Year's Eve special that might happen soon. If all goes well with a Christmas special that Pixel Art and his staff are cooking up at this time, we might incorporate a New Year's Eve special along with that. Though, as we said before in one of the previous episodes of this series, we might possibly make a special where Sam would read a few errors and signs as usual, and then we would watch the fireworks go up and the ball drops. Again, if nothing else is bothering us at the moment, that might be a possible thing that we could do. It's also something more simple compared to what we're doing in the Christmas special, so I don't think we'll complain much. Now then, we're gonna go back to Pixel Art for the remainder of the topics we'll cover.
Thank you, Water. So, we're going to get one final piece out of the way before everything else. And that's going to be what we intend to do for the 10th year anniversary in 2022. Well, it's pretty much going to be one of the most complex things I'm going to plan, so listen carefully. The core thing that I've been intending to do is a marathon of Microsoft Sam Plays Killing Floor 2. What it would essentially be is I've been planning for every single survival map to be played by Sam and, in some cases, some of his friends. What I was intending to do for it is that I would split that entire marathon up into several parts, where there would be 6 maps per part, with the exception of one of those maps being in one separate part. But not so fast there. There has been a Stay the Game article for 2021 where the staff at Tripwire were saying that they were going to support the game with a 7th year worth of updates and other stuff like quality of life, maps, weapons, and so forth. That's going to affect what I intend to plan for the marathon. But don't worry, I'll make it easier for some of us. If I were to make a marathon of all the maps ranging from 2015 all the way to 2021, that could be something worthwhile, at least for a tad bit. Then after the thing, if Tripwire decides to stop with content updates for the game, I could make a complete marathon at some point. But make no mistake, this is all going to garner in some time and energy for the final product, so there's no fucking around there. And hell, as we speak, there's going to be some of those updates and some of the things that will affect it. But considering the fact that there's going to be a break from Tripwire that the Stay the Games article said that they were going to take, this should be fairly easy for us to start playing ahead. Now then, with all the topics we need to cover out of the way, here is, as usual, a brief recap of everything that has been covered. 1. The Christmas special is in full power production. 2. Microsoft Sam Plays Minecraft is getting a new approach, as well as tweaking in the Raffle world that was made by Server. 3. The next 4 episodes of Microsoft Sam Plays Killing Floor 2 Season 5 are getting moved. 4. Microsoft Sam and Friends Play Zombie Army Trilogy is getting produced, while Microsoft Sam and Friends Play Back 4 Blood is getting eliminated. 5. A poll for some Microsoft Mike Play series is starting. Same applies for Microsoft Mary Play Shantae and the 7 Sirens. Both are due by the start of 2022. 7. Red Overseer Sky's Retrocraft remains on hiatus, but we're not sure if a replacement series is necessary yet. 8. We might produce a New Year's Eve special if nothing conflicts with my schedule. And 9. We're playing the Microsoft Sam Plays Killing Floor 2 marathon from 2015 to 2021 for my 10th anniversary on YouTube, which is coming in November 10th, 2022. And that's everything, folks. If you have any questions, concerns, or complaints, comment in here for anything in the comments section. Otherwise, I'm going to close this edition off right here. Stay tuned for more videos like this one, and subscribe for more in the future. This is Pixel Art Builder 583, signing off. Peace out.